Good morning. Lorraine Fish here, stampwithlorraine.com. Welcome back to another Coffee in the Card Facebook Live. And I just want to welcome anybody who joins on live. I'll repeat this a few times. Please leave a comment below. Tell me where you're from, if you like. And if you leave a comment, then you'll be entered into my raffle for a fun prize. It will have to be U.S. only, okay? I had made some exceptions in the past, but shipping is a lot. So I'd love to include my international friends in the raffle, but it's a lot of money to send some things. And so anyway, just welcome anyway, and leave comments anyway. But so I love to see everybody joining in. Hopefully make this sort of a regular thing if we can. Friday mornings, good way to kick off the weekend. If you're working, you're probably watching this as a replay, and that's great too. So, like I said, leave a comment down below. I see some people signing on, so welcome. Glad you got my message. I forgot to put this notification on Facebook until this morning, but I did send out to my newsletter subscribers. So if you're not on my newsletter, you might want to do that, because I kind of go there first, and I give a lot more information right there than I can post on a Facebook post. So yeah, good morning, Marcia. Marcia's on my downline. Nice to see you joining on this morning. So yeah, sign up for my newsletters. You can go to my blog, stampwithlorraine.com, and sign up there. You can sign up in the sidebar, or a pop-up window will come up in a few seconds after visiting my page, and you can sign up right there, and you'll get a free tutorial when you sign up. So, oh, good morning. Good morning. Oh, you have coffee. Okay. Oh, yay. I'm so glad. So glad, Maria. Hey, here's mine. Okay, actually tea today. I switch off between coffee and tea, so maybe I should just call this cuppa and a card. Make it whatever. I don't know. You weigh in on that thought there. Should we say cuppa or just coffee, and people can bring whatever they want? I don't know. So either way, good morning. Cheers. Gotta stay hydrated. Although caffeine is dehydrating, isn't it? Oh well, that's okay. We need our little boost in the morning. Cuppa. We'll see. Maybe that will work better. Who knows? As long as you're here, that's all that matters. Nice to have people joining in this morning. Okay, so I'm going to do an interesting little card, and it's actually a case from another card. Remember what case means? Copy and share everything, or you might see some other words to fit that acronym. But when you case a card, you're actually just copying it. And people who put their cards out there to share, you know, I'm sure are more than welcome and flattered that you like their card enough to copy it. So then I'm going to show you that by making little changes, you can make it your own. Baby steps, all right? Just kind of like, maybe like when you move into a new home, you make some little changes along the way, and then it suddenly becomes yours. So that's kind of what you can do with your art, with your cards. Copy something exactly so you get how it goes all together, and then you can change a color, change a stamp set, change the orientation of the elements on the card slightly, and then eventually you do enough changes, it's a totally different card, right? So if you're crafting along, you can follow the directions. I gave you a list of materials. I know it's hard to pick out things when you don't know what the card's going to be, but it makes it kind of fun, a little bit of a mystery. And then you can take it from there. And I hope then you post some of your own designs below. All right? You can't make a new post on my business page, but you can post in the comments. All right? So I hope you do that. Take note, post what you did, and whether it's live today or whether it's in the replay, and then we can see other versions of the same card. That's what I love about this. All right. So some people joined on last night. I talked about the special joining offer. Hello, Pat. Good morning. I And it's $99 for $175 worth of product if you want to join Stampin' Up! Before February 28th. Right? That's just in a few days. So if that's something of interest to you, reach out to me and I'll be glad to talk to you about that. Okay, so I'm going to turn the camera around. We're going to hop right to it. And this is just not one of my long videos. This is just a very short thing. Enjoy your cup of whatever, and we'll make a little card. All right, so just kind of short and sweet. All righty, so 1 second, I'm going to turn the camera around. And for people who just join on, make sure you leave a comment. And if you leave a comment, then you're in my raffle for a fun prize at the end of the video. Okay, just the live people are entered into the raffle. Okay, so, okay, posting your cards need to be only, okay, no, not from my website. It's okay. Okay, you can use whatever materials you need. All right. Okay, it's not like you're saying that they're claiming that they're Stampin' Up! Products or not. You know, if you want to put that in the memo and in the comment, say, you know, not Stampin' Up! Products or some Stampin' Up! Products and whatever. All right, so whatever you like. Okay, we're just looking at the artistic value here right now. It's not like, you know, you're selling Stampin' Up! Or something. All righty, so good morning, Pat. Good morning, Candy. Nice, ooh, night from Virginia. Nice, people from all over. Okay, so give me a moment to flip my phone around. I did get a new stand, a new mount for my phone to make this easier, but I haven't played around with it yet, so I didn't want to do it live. Okay, so maybe next time I'll have a little bit better situation. So I'm just going to cover up my camera so I don't get anybody dizzy. All right, good morning, Margaret. All right, 1 second. Okay, there we go. Let me hook it up to my mount. It might be hard for me to read comments as we go between me being busy showing you the card. And also, like I mentioned before, the clamp for my phone is right where the comments come up. All right, so the card we're doing today is somewhat of a clean and simple card. It has some color. It's going to have some color to it, but we're going to start off with a lot of white. White card base, so your typical card base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Fold it over and burnish that score line with your bone folder. Nice sharp creases. I'm using thick cardstock. Okay, if you didn't realize we had that, we do have some thick cardstock. That's great for when you're doing more single layer cards with white. It gives it a little bit more stability. As you may have noticed or know, the white cardstock is, the basic white cardstock is slightly thinner than the colored. So this is more in line with the regular colored cardstock weight. All right, then we're going to use a strip of white to punch out some circles. Now, I asked you to have a shape. Could be a hexagon, could be a square, could be circle, could be diamond, whatever. I'm just going to use my 1.5 inch circle punch for the quickness of this video. We don't sell this anymore. We have plenty of dies that are layering circles that you can use. We have stylish shapes, beautiful shapes and dies. So a lot of your die sets have certain shapes to them, geometric shapes, and you can use that. But just to be quick for the video, I don't have to die cut multiples. I'm just going to punch out several of these. I suggested to have maybe 7 or 8 just to have some extras, but depending on the size of your shape, sometimes fewer will do. Okay, I think I get 6 out of this strip. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, I do. And then we're going to run those through an embossing folder. All right, so obviously we can run all of them at one time. I like punching my shapes first because if you run something through an embossing folder, it's actually breaking down the fibers in the paper, in the cardstock, and it weakens it. So then when you go to punch something or die cut something, it might not cut as cleanly as you would like. But if you do that on your cardstock first, then you're definitely going to get a nice clean cut. Also with the raised and the lowered, it just might not look as neat as you would like. Okay. Oh, you're welcome, Lee. I'm glad you're liking it. Okay, I haven't really done lives too much, but when my computer was down and I couldn't edit videos, I did a few lives, and I guess people like coming on live. Now let me know your opinion. I probably wouldn't do my longer tutorials live. I do like to edit them and keep them a little bit shorter for some people. But for these quick little cards to meet up and say good morning, I think it's fun too, Lee. Thank you for your comment. All right, so you can put your circles or your hexagons or squares, whatever shape you chose, right in your embossing folder and run that through your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I already did that. Ta-da! There we go. Because I don't have my big machine here. It's on the other side of the room. I have a little station for that. But I do like having the mini machine here. And this is for when I want to do just some smaller embossing with the more narrow embossing folders, or when I want to do some smaller die cutting. So I keep this handy right on my workspace. And if you sign up to be a demonstrator this month by the 28th, you can tack on $30 to that $99 kit fee, and you can get this as part of your starter kit. It also comes in a new in color, boho blue. So that's been very popular and fun as well. So it retails for $63, but you can get it for $30 with your starter kit. Okay, so that's another nice thing. You probably wouldn't want this for your only emboss machine because not all the folders fit in there. It's very narrow. And maybe some of the die cuts might be a little bit bigger too. But it's great for a little extra one for maybe if you're traveling. I like to keep it right on my worktop here. So keep it nice and handy so I don't have to walk around the table and go back and forth. So anyway, all right. So enough of that. We embossed these little circles here. Okay. And then I'm going to just put those aside for a moment, and I'm going to work on my focal point. Now, I suggested that you choose something that's kind of tall and maybe a little bit more bold, something that can be colorful. I'm using the Art Gallery stamp set, and this is a 2-step stamping. I'm going to show you how that goes if you're not familiar with it. And I'm going to use fresh freesia for the bottom part, and then Gorgeous Grape for the detail. So 2-step stamping means that you're going to stamp one part. Let me get my other. You're going to stamp one piece of, in this case, the flower. In your lighter, usually the background is in your lighter color. Somebody asked me recently, said, oh, I like the 2-step stamping, but I never know which one to do first. It really doesn't matter if you do the detail or the background one first, depending on what the stamp looks like and what you're comfortable with. This one doesn't have, this is a more random kind of detail, I'll call it. That doesn't make sense. Detail means, you know, very specific. But, okay, the darker shade. Sometimes if you have, say, like an outline and then a filler, sometimes people like to do the outline first. In this case, I'm going to do the background because then I could stamp this on top and then get that extra shading. Now, also, depending on what you want your flower to look like, you might want to stamp that full strength, or you might want to stamp off a little bit, which means, let me get a scrap paper here. Okay, here's a piece I used before, which means stamping off, you've inked up your stamp off some of the color, and then when you stamp it again, it's much lighter. So depending on what you want your flower to look like. Now I'm going to do the darker part in Gorgeous Grape, which will be darker than this, so it doesn't matter. Sometimes 2-step stamping, you can use the same ink. Just stamp off first and then do the detail in the same color, full strength. I'll show you what that looks like. I know it's a little tricky on the grid paper, but you can see that looks lovely too, all with the same ink pad. But I'm just going to use 2 different colors because I want this to show up a little bit more than that, just to bring a little more bold look to my card front, which is otherwise all white. Okay, so, hey, good morning. More people are joining on. Wonderful. Betty and B. Oh, all over. Canada, Arizona. Very nice. All right, so here I go. I stamp that there. And look how nice and bold that came out. Now I'm going to make sure I close my ink pads. How many times have we put fingers or our done cards and brush up against the ink pad? Happens. It happens. Okay. I'm going to clean off this. Although it was very light, I could probably go over it with the darker ink, but I like to have a habit of cleaning that off. All right, so here we are with Gorgeous Grape. Now this one could be quite dark. I'm going to test it on this flower here. And this, let's see what it looks like once it's stamped off. Now I think I might like that better. So I'm going to stamp it off first because I think that's just a little dark. And this one isn't supposed to line up exactly, which is kind of nice because sometimes when you try to line it up exactly, it's difficult, especially with the rubber stamps. With the photopolymer, it's a lot easier. But you know, look how nice that looks, right? A lot of two-tone things going on there. And let me clean my ink here and get up. I've shown this hint before. I actually cut my chamois so that I have a big section. I have some smaller sections for maybe when I have a, I just want to take my chamois to the stamp itself, or when I'm using it on my Stamparatus, it's a little easier to wipe things off with the little piece. So I just keep it like that. I've cut it like a third and then that in half. Just works for me. And you can see this is well loved, well used, even though it's stained. I rinsed it out, squeezed it in the sink, and it's all good to go. Still works. All right, so we'll put those aside, and then we're going to do the stem for the flower. There we go. Oops. Okay, and I'm going to do that in Garden Green. Full strength. Right, like that. Now, this is kind of nice. Ooh, look, I got a little dot there. And you know why? Because there's a little bump underneath. I'm going to just try to line it up again and make sure I hold it down in that spot. Let's see if I can get it perfect. If not, I'll just turn it over and we'll do that again. Oh, I'm realizing I'm off the camera a little bit. I'm so sorry. Okay, there we go. Not a problem. I'll clean that off. Put it right back in my case. Especially with the photopolymer, sometimes they get lying around and they're hard to find. So I like to make the habit, sorry for the crinkling noise, I like to make the habit of putting it right back in. Okay, one thing I find helpful, guys, is also when you're making a card, try to do multiples at one time. While you have everything out, it's just as easy to stamp 3 of these as one. Not much more trouble, right? So that way you have multiples of the same card and you don't have to take all those same materials out again. All right, closing that up. All right, now we're going to run those through the embossing machine, and this comes with coordinating, excuse me, coordinating dies. One for the leaf, the other for the large flower, and it coordinates with, the dies coordinate with the other pieces on here as well. Now these do fit in my mini, so That's why I have it right here. Okay, so you have your base plate, a clear plate, and your cardstock, the die on top. And can I fit this one on too? Well, you know what? If I turn this around, fit it in that way, I can do it all in one pass. I like that. Saving some time. If the dies move around a little bit too much for you, take a little piece of washi tape to hold it down. That's fine too. I'll just be very careful here. Run it through. Okay, don't move, don't move. Okay, let's see how we did. Nice. All right, good. So there's our focal point for our card. Don't need that anymore. Put it aside. Aside in this case meant on the floor because my tabletop is crowded with all my other things here right now. Okay, same thing with the dies. Put them right back. Don't want to lose them. Some people outline on the card where all the dies go so that it's easier to put back and it's easier to see if you've missed one. I like to put them on magnet sheets, and you can even draw lines on your magnet sheet, you know, with maybe a white or gold permanent marker. Some people do that too. Or you can take a picture of your dies, include it in your case so that you see what belongs there. Sometimes I've had a die out and I couldn't remember which case, which set it went to. Something generic like this, it's hard to tell sometimes unless you go back through your catalog and see what you have. All right, so put that aside. We have a focal point. Let's go back to our card base. And now this is the fun part. I'm going to get back my little dots here. And we're going to just arrange them on the card front in a random way. You don't have to, you can, this is where you can change things up, guys. Mine's going to be sort of offset. And I'm going to hang this one off and cut it in a little bit. Maybe this one a little less. Maybe this one a little more. Or maybe not. Okay, I'm going to kind of do it sort of with a little diagonal kind of a arrangement to it. Okay, so it kind of looks like it's coming down this way. Or, well, maybe we'll do it like this. So this, again, is where you could be casing a card, but it doesn't have to be exact. Arrange your shapes any way you like. If you want, they can be symmetrical. They can be in rows. They can be, perfect alignment, or a little bit more askew if you like. So what we're going to do here is, I'm just going to have my block, hold that down and closed. All right, there we go. I'm going to put these on with dimensionals so that they are all popped up. That's why I said have a lot of dimensionals on hand. If, let me move that out of the way. If you want to glue them straight down, that's fine too. Not a problem. So I'm going to turn these over. Now this one, I'm not going to put a dimensional way on the side. I'm going to just kind of hold my finger there and just kind of know I'm going to put 1, 2, 3 over here. You can use big ones or little ones. If you're using the regular cardstock and not the thick, I would suggest being rather generous with your dimensionals because the paper is a little thinner. And I'm going to make sure that I put that on so that the dimensionals didn't go past the edge of my card. All right, so that's popped up there. I'm just going to leave the others there so I know where my placement is. This is the thick cardstock, so I think 3 will be fine. And I'll just put each one on. How you guys doing? We have new people on here? Okay, thanks for sharing. I really appreciate that. Hi, Jen. Okay. So 3. Oh, did I tell you? You probably saw the label. Pretty Flowers is the embossing folder. Okay, Pretty Flowers. This one is not a 3D embossing folder, meaning that the parts that are all raised exactly the same level. And the parts that are depressed are exactly the same level. So this folder is a little bit thinner, and you have to create your sandwich, so to speak, a little bit differently when you're running it through your die cut machine than if you did the 3D embossing folders. All right, we're getting there. Take a sip of coffee, everyone, or tea, whatever you have. I think I will. I shouldn't have this on my work table, right? I tell you guys that all the time. Okay, putting it behind me. Okay, I'm a little picky with my tea. Once it gets kind of lukewarm, it bothers my stomach. I can't drink it. It has to be hot or very cold, one or the other. Coffee, I could drink any temperature. Okay, I'm going to let this one hang off just a little bit too. Not as much as the other one, but I will trim that down. And then I'm going to put this one over here. Gotta love the dimensional dots, right? Now there is a difference between the front and the back of the embossing folders. Again, you don't have to, but you might want to be consistent. Here the actual image of the flowers is raised, but if you flip it over, you see kind of the flowers is sunken in and the rest is raised, and that looks nice too. But maybe just to be consistent, you want to make sure you're doing them all the same way, or equally mix and match them, right? You wouldn't want one the other way, because that somebody might notice that it's the odd guy out. I'll kind of keep that in mind. Okay, here we go. Getting close here. Sometimes I just punch out a whole bunch of circles and keep them in a little bin in my drawer. I have like one of those little divided bins with different shapes in there. And that way I have some ready to go for sentiments or whatever. So now I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to cut those off. I like doing these kind of cuts with big scissors so that I can do it with one swoop. It helps me keep it a little straighter. Now, if anybody recognizes this card from somewhere, you can put in the comments where you think I'm casing this from. Okay, and then we're going to have our flower right across there. I'm going to line it up, decide where I want it, and then we'll need a sentiment. I'm going to do that just in black. I always like my sentiments being nice and dark. I could do it in the grape too, I suppose. All right, so let's get one of the sentiments from here. I'm going to do I'm Thinking of You, because that can go for anything. Thinking of you on your birthday, thinking of you, get well, miss you, kind of a thinking of you. I often like to line up my sentiment on my grid paper and then line up my block on my grid paper. It helps me then get it it gives me a little better chance of getting it straight. Doesn't always work, but here we go. Does anybody recognize this card? Put in the comments where you may have seen it before. Okay, ta-da! I did it. All right, put the sentiment back. Don't you just love how very often Stampin' Up! Has sentiments to go along with the images? That's nice. You get them as a whole set, right? Okay. Oh, it's a little heavy on that one side there. Okay, I'm not going to worry about it. And I'm going to just trim that down. And I'm going to figure out where I'm going to put that across there. All right. I'm going to put dimensionals on that as well. I'll put 3 across there. I don't want it sagging in the middle. You definitely want some on the ends. And then 1 in the middle. I'm not going to take the backs off yet until I get my flower on there. All right, and then my flower also we're going to raise up. I'm actually going to glue down the leaves but raise up the flower just to give it that much more dimension. So I'm going to get my dots on there and ready to go. Okay, I'm going to put one right in the middle because when I put this over here, I'm not exactly sure where it's going to catch, so I don't want to take any chances. I'm just going to take the backs off, but not put it on yet until I arrange where my stem and leaves are. So it's so easy. Once you have something to start with, have a sketch, have an idea, case a card, something you've seen before, even store-bought cards. I've done that plenty of times. I'll show you one that I have on my shelf right now as soon as I'm done here. Okay, so I'm just going to figure... Okay, I think about there is good. So I'm going to put a little glue here, some glue on the top of that leaf, and then the bottom of the stem and just the top of the stem. I'm going to leave this middle part empty. Not that it matters. It's not going to hit so much, but just touches of glue. It's a good idea to take the tip of your glue applicator and smear it a little bit so that you know when you press it down, it's not going to ooze out quite as much. Again, I'm going to test where I want this to be. All right, that was about right there. Okay, then I could put my flower on top. And then I could put my sentiment across. I'm going to have it overlapping the stem just a little bit. Okay, now, because this is raised up here, this is something I thought about before, but forgot to just this moment. This side is high, right? It's higher than one-dimensional because this piece has a dimensional underneath it. So I'm going to take another dimensional dot and stick it underneath there so it compensates for that height difference. And I like to use my pick tool to just ease it under there. So now this end is 2 dimensionals high, and this end is 1 dimensional, and the second dimensional is there. Okay, so there's our card. Has anybody figured out where this was from? Any guesses? I'm going to show you in a minute. Okay, so I changed up the shape on here. I tried to use about the same colors. I used a different flower than the card I'm casing, but you'll notice that it's definitely the same card. Okay, here we go. The front of the mini catalog right there. How about that? See that? Oh, thank you, Kay. Glad you like that. So there you go. Similar colors, just a different shape. This uses a hexagon. And I have a sentiment, but just a different flower, right? Different, they might have the same embossing folder. I'm not sure. Might have flipped it around. Hard to tell. I think here they may have used even 2 different embossing folders. So that was my other suggestion. If you like, you can mix and match some of them. This is the fern. That would look nice with flowers mixing in there too. Mix and match them. This card has some of the enamel dots on there, and they look like the classic matte dots. Okay, put all around there, so you could do that. So instead of the matte dots, even though I have them, I'm just going to change it up a little bit. So look for little things you can do to change it up. I'm going to put a couple of butterflies on there. This is for my friend Tina. Right. Oh, thank you, Patty. Thank you. I'm glad you like the card. I'm going to put, it's good to do things in 3s, right? Odd numbers, 3s or 5s. I don't think we need 5 butterflies here, but put them in different directions there, and I'll put a 3rd one down here. Okay, so if you like the all white card, go with the white dots or none at all. And there you go. So you have a really pretty card. Now, if you want to change it up a little bit, what if you could do different colors, right? You can do different color flower on there. You can have something besides a flower. Let's say my next idea was using the ferns. I used the little fern embossing folder, and so let's say we want to do all even rows this time. You don't have to give them a random look if you don't want to. And then I said, well, since we're doing ferns, maybe I would take mossy meadow and use adhesive sheets to put on my fern die cut, and that could look really pretty on there too. So let's give that a really quick try. I know I said one card, but here's a little variation. Here's the adhesive sheets that you can buy from the catalog. I cut a piece similar to my cardstock that I already measured, that I know my fern die will fit on. And I'm going to adhere that to the cardstock. So you peel away the part that's printed. I like to peel just a piece of it so that I can line up the part that's not sticky, and then catch the part that is, and then just peel it off, and I know the rest will be lined up nicely. Okay, so now I'm going to just run this through my embossing machine. I'm choosing to put the adhesive sheet on because this is very thin. It'll be hard to get glue around everything without making a mess. So I'm loving the sheets. I've had them and I've used them before, but we have so many delicate dies now that are so beautiful that I'm using those sheets more and more. I used to have them in a cubby across the room with some of my designer paper, but now I keep a stash right at hand next to me here. I even save the little tiny pieces because if there's something that you want to glue on, like a little half-inch something or other, you don't want to use glue, or it's hard to use your Stampin' Seal, I will take a little piece of that and help stick it on. Okay, so here we have this. So I haven't even tried this card yet. I'm doing it. This is live in front of you. Okay, carefully pull away those pieces. Okay, now if you are careful enough and not kind of rushing, and you centered this exactly, you can even use this background, if you save the pieces and fit them in there, and put some pretty paper behind it and use that in some way. You know me, I'm always saving things. Were you surprised I threw away those circles? Believe me, I've saved these before too and put them across a card. If I punch them out evenly, put them across a card, stamp some things inside, or put some designer paper behind it. Okay, really fun. Another way to use scraps. But I have so many of these. I have to, sometimes I think I need an intervention. Throw it away, Lorraine. Just throw it away. Okay, so I'm going to pull this off and put it across. Well, I didn't lay these down yet, but so I won't pull it off. But there you go. You have another option. So it's kind of like casing, but changing it up a little bit. Right? So you're not copying and sharing everything, but you are taking the idea. Right? So that's another idea. Now here's one more that I did. And I didn't do the white. I did crumb cake instead. I used the timber embossing folder that has the wood grain on there. Some of the dots, the circles, I glued down. Some I raised up. I used the Brewed for You stamp set and dies that coordinate, and created my little beer mug there. Put my sentiment on top instead of below. So it doesn't really matter. Keep the same idea. Just mix it up a little bit. On this one, I will put some of the dots. I'll use the black ones. Can you tell what my favorite colors were on here? Yep, the black. I'm using my last three. Yeah, where should I put the two? This is sort of a blank space over here, so I'll Do 2 there. Actually, I tend to use the pointer, a little pokey tool, I call it. But obviously the putty end is what these are made for. Sometimes the bigger embellishments are harder to pick up, but you just kind of stick the putty to the embellishment, and then you can just plop it down. I'll put it right there. Okay, so you have your 3 there. So let's look at the, I like to call it, how the card evolves, or it's like evolution. Okay, you start off with something, you start off with your idea, and you copy it almost exactly as you can, change up a few little things, and then you start thinking, expanding on that thought. Same number of circles, embossed, a different element, maybe a slightly different lineup, and you can try different colors. So all based on the same thing. So look in your catalogs and see what you can case, see what you like, and it doesn't matter if you say, oh, I don't have that stamp set, or I don't have those colors. Mix it up. I do have these hexagons, and I think it's stylish, beautiful shapes. But I put it with some other things I was working on, and I didn't have it handy. So I said, you know what? I'm using circles, and show you how you can mix it up. One thing that I'm going to do is put a little wink of Stella on here on the beer because that's going to make it look a little sparkly and shiny. Another little trick some people do is before you die cut this, cover it with clear packing tape, and then it gives a glossy look to the glass. How about that? I'm going to put a little wink of Stella on the foam because that would have a glistening look, right? All right, now I know that's going to be very hard to see on the camera, but in person it looks fun. Adds us a little special touch. Okay, I'm going to flip the camera around and try to see if you have any other comments. Let me know or ask some questions. 1 second while I cover up here. Okay, whoops, there we go. Hello. Alright, so, oops, I'm sorry. Let's play not really. Okay, I'll have my new mount ready for next time. It'll be easier. So I'm glad you like those cards, and all from just copying something that's from the catalog. So here's my challenge to you. Try this layout, something similar to it, or case something from the catalog. All right, and you can, if you can reference it, say, oh, this is from the page 42 in the annual catalog or whatever. You can even abbreviate AC. You might see that I did AC page 42, whatever. So, because that would be fun. Okay, let's try casing things from the catalog this time. All right. Are there any other questions? I know sometimes it takes a little while for the comments to come through. There's a little bit of a delay, but I hope you've been inspired to try some new things. If you like this idea, this is a little similar to what my sketch program is like. I have a weekly sketch program. I run it January, February, and March. And I give you a sketch. Oh, thank you for the hearts. I love it. I like to see those floating by. Cute. If I give a sketch every week on a Sunday with details how to put it all together. You get printed PDF, and you then will be invited to a Facebook group. It's just for my sketch program, and all the participants share the cards that they made with that, based on that one little sketch. So like I said, this would be the sketch using some kind of shape and a focal point and a sentiment, and then people would come up with different variations, and it's really a lot of fun to see what people come up with. Something that's like, wow, I even learned. I like that. That's what we do. We share. So if that's something, I put a different card up each weekday based on that sketch, as well as other people sharing too. And then at the end of the month, we have a little powwow on Zoom, and we get together and share what we liked, or what what worked, or show the cards that some people might not have posted. So it's really a lot of fun. So now until the 28th, okay, the end of February, I will be accepting subscriptions, registration for the March weekly sketch program. So if you're interested in that, go to my blog, stampwithlorraine.com. You can read all about it. You can sign up there. At this moment, it still says February, but I'm going to go change that later today to where it says March. You can sign up for March. So just sign up anyway. I know it's for the next month. Okay, so just one more month left. In January, I gave an option for people to sign up for all 3 months. But right now, there's just 1 month left. You can sign up for March if you like. All right, so you'll get inspired with different sketches and get some ideas. Okay, so remember, just a few more days left of celebrations. A few more days left for the starter kit offer and my sketch program. So I hope you have a great weekend. Happy Friday. Cheers to you. Thanks for joining me for Coffee and a Card. See you next time, guys. Bye-bye.